I don't know if anyone will believe me, but I need to share this. It all started 3 nights ago, and ever since, I've barely slept. I feel like I'm being watched every second of the day. Maybe someone here can help me figure out what's happening. It started like any other evening. I was home, wrapped in a blanket on my worn-out couch, the soft hum of the TV filling the room. I had just poured myself a glass of red wine. Nothing fancy, just something to unwind after a long day. My phone was in my hand as I lazily scrolled through endless posts, the kind of mindless distraction that makes the world blur for a while. Then, the first message appeared. Nice choice of wine tonight. The words didn't register at first. My thumb hovered over the screen, ready to scroll past the notification, but something about the message tugged at me. My stomach clenched as I read it again. My heart thumped hard against my chest. I hadn't told anyone about the wine. No Instagram stories, no text to friends. I hadn't even spoken to anyone all evening. Slowly, I glanced around the room. The curtains were drawn, the windows locked. My apartment, dimly lit by a single lamp, suddenly felt too exposed. I stood up, trying to shake off the unease, but every creak of the floorboards made my skin crawl. I told myself it was a mistake, a prank, maybe someone guessing randomly. It had to be. Still, the thought stayed with me, circling like a vulture over a carcass, as I finished my wine in silence. The next night, I decided I needed to get out. Staying home only made me more paranoid. I texted a couple of friends and agreed to meet them at a coffee shop downtown. The crisp air nipped at my skin as I walked down the quiet streets, the city alive with distant chatter and the occasional honk of a car horn. The coffee shop glowed warmly in the distance, promising the comfort of laughter and normalcy. But as I stepped through the door, my phone buzzed in my pocket. The red scarf looks great on you. I froze, the door half closed behind me. My breath hitched as I instinctively clutched the scarf around my neck. I had grabbed it on my way out, almost as an afterthought. No one knew I was wearing it, not even my friends, who I hadn't met yet. The room felt colder somehow, even with the hum of conversation and the hiss of the espresso machine. I turned slowly, scanning the cafe for any faces that seemed out of place. A couple laughing in the corner, a barista wiping the counter, a man typing furiously on his laptop. No one looked at me. No one paid any attention. I stepped back outside, my pulse quickening. Was someone following me? Watching me? I pulled out my phone and reread the message, as if seeing it again would somehow make it make sense. But it didn't. I couldn't shake the feeling that every stranger I passed on the way home knew something I didn't. A man in a dark coat glanced at me briefly as we crossed paths. Was that a smirk? Or was I imagining things? When I finally reached my apartment, I locked the door behind me, twisting the bolt twice just to be sure. My hand lingered on the cold metal. For the first time, my sanctuary felt like a cage. I didn't sleep much that night. Every creak of the walls, every hum of the fridge, every faint sound outside made me flinch. My phone sat on the nightstand, face down, but I couldn't stop glancing at it, afraid it would light up again. And it did. Why so quiet tonight? I couldn't breathe. My hands trembled as I typed out a response. Who is this? 3 little dots appeared, signaling they were typing. My heart raced. The dots disappeared. No reply came. The silence was worse than the message. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my mind spinning with possibilities. A stalker? Someone I knew? Or something else entirely? I tried to tell myself it was a sick joke, but deep down, I didn't believe it. Because whoever or whatever it was, they knew too much, and they weren't going away. By the 3rd day, I was trapped in my own mind. Leaving my apartment felt like stepping into a nightmare, but staying inside wasn't any better. Every shadow seemed alive, every sound a warning. I was spiraling, caught between paranoia and a terrifying sense of certainty. Someone was watching me. I tried changing my routine, desperate to shake off whatever or whoever was following me. I skipped my usual morning coffee run, avoided my favorite bakery, even took the long way home just to avoid predictable routes. For one insane moment, I thought leaving my phone behind might be the solution, as if its absence could cut the invisible thread tying me to this nightmare. It didn't. When I got home that evening, the messages were waiting for me, like silent whispers on the screen. Why the detour through the park? Afraid of something? I felt the blood drain from my face. The park had been deserted, completely empty except for the fog that hung heavy in the air, curling around the lampposts like ghostly fingers. My steps had echoed against the pavement, the rhythm matching my racing pulse. I hadn't seen anyone, not a single soul. I clutched my phone, my fingers trembling as I read the words over and over. How could they have known? That night, I made the mistake of going back to the park. I don't know why. Curiosity, defiance, stupidity. The air smelled damp, earthy, like rain was coming. The mist seemed thicker this time, muffling even the distant hum of traffic. Every step I took felt heavier, the silence pressing down on me like a weight. And then my phone buzzed again. Running won't help. I froze. The words were like ice, slicing through my chest. My breathing grew shallow as I looked around, desperate for any sign of movement, any hint of who was behind this. The trees swayed gently in the breeze, their branches creaking like ancient whispers. The shadows between them seemed to shift, growing darker, longer. My heart screamed at me to run, and I did. I don't even remember the direction I took. Only the sound of my footsteps pounding against the ground, my lungs burning as I pushed forward. The mist blurred everything around me, but I didn't care. I just needed to get away. When I finally reached my apartment, I slammed the door shut and locked it, twisting the bolt with frantic urgency. My hands shook so badly, I could barely secure the chain. I leaned against the door, gasping for air, every muscle in my body coiled tight. But it wasn't over. I turned off the lights, hoping the darkness would hide me, but it only made the silence louder. My ears strained for any sound. Footsteps in the hallway, a creak of the floorboards, anything to tell me I wasn't alone. My phone buzzed again, the sound like a dagger in the quiet. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to see, but I did. You can't hide. I dropped the phone, the screen glowing faintly against the dark wood floor. My pulse wouldn't slow down. It felt like the walls were closing in, the air growing thinner with every second. I grabbed the phone again, my fingers fumbling as I typed a reply. What do you want from me? 3 dots appeared. My breath caught in my throat. They stayed there, taunting me before disappearing again. No answer. I stared at the screen until my vision blurred, waiting for another message, another clue. But nothing came, only silence. I stayed awake that night, every creak of the apartment settling into my bones, every faint noise outside sending a fresh wave of panic through me. I wanted to believe it was a coincidence, that my mind was playing tricks on me. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. I couldn't take it anymore. The messages were a noose tightening around my sanity. I had to do something, anything. So I decided to call the number. My hands were trembling so violently, I nearly dropped the phone. My thumb hovered over the call button, dread pulling in my stomach. Every part of me screamed not to press it, but I needed answers. I hit call. The phone pressed against my ear felt heavy, almost suffocating. There was no ringing, no tematid boithemed, just silence. Hello, I whispered, my voice cracking. Nothing. Who are you? I tried again, louder this time, though my voice still shook. The silence dragged on, a void that felt deeper and darker with every passing second. Then, abruptly, the line went dead. I stared at the screen in disbelief, my breathing shallow. Was it some kind of trick? A glitch? Or was I just making it worse? I blocked the number after that. I thought it might stop the messages. Foolishly, I even allowed myself a brief moment of relief, like I'd solved the problem. But the next day, the messages resumed, coming from different numbers, each one more invasive than the last. That locked door won't keep me out. My breath hitched when I read it. I instinctively looked toward the door, the deadbolt still in place, the chain still secured, but it didn't feel safe anymore. My sanctuary had been breached, not physically, but mentally. I couldn't stop thinking. How do they know? I haven't left my apartment since. At first, I told myself I was being cautious. Smart, staying locked in would give me control, a barrier between me and whatever was out there. But the truth is, I'm terrified. The messages keep coming, even when my phone is powered off. I'll turn it back on after hours of silence, hoping for peace, but there they are, waiting for me. You really shouldn't ignore me. The air in my apartment feels heavier now, like it's pressing down on my chest. I can't shake the feeling of being watched. I've checked every window, every closet, even the spaces I know are too small for anyone to hide. Still, the unease doesn't leave. Sometimes, I hear faint noises, barely their whispers, the creak of a floorboard. But I tell myself it's the building settling, or the wind, or anything but what my mind wants to believe. I've considered calling the police, but what would I tell them? That I'm being haunted by a number that won't leave me alone? That the messages seem to come from nowhere? They'd write me off as paranoid, or worse, unstable. And maybe I am. I don't even know if this is a person anymore. A stalker, hacker? Sure, that would make sense. But the way they know things, the way they seem to anticipate my every move, it feels different. Otherworldly almost. The worst part is the waiting. Every second is a countdown to the next message, the next violation. My phone is on the table now, face down. I'm too scared to pick it up, but I can't look away either. It's like it has power over me. Just a few minutes ago, I heard it buzz again. I haven't read the message yet, but I know it's there. I'm trying to convince myself to look, but part of me doesn't want to know. What if it's worse this time? What if it's something I can't come back from? I don't know what to do anymore. Am I being hunted? Haunted? Or am I just losing my mind? The phone buzzes again. And again, each vibration feels like a jolt of electricity through my chest. My hands are shaking so badly, I can barely type this. If you're listening, if you've ever gone through anything like this, tell me, what would you do? How do I make it stop? Because I don't think I can survive much longer like this. And if you ever get a message from an unknown number, don't answer it. Right now, I'm sitting here in the dark with only the dim glow of my phone lighting a room. The screen is blank, no messages yet, but the silence feels alive, like it's waiting. The screen lights up. My chest tightens. I don't want to look, but I can't stop myself. It's not a message, just a notification about a software update. I let out a shaky laugh, more from relief than anything else. But it doesn't last. The fear creeps back in almost immediately, like a shadow that refuses to leave. If you've ever been to something like this, if you have any idea what's happening, I need to know, because I can't keep doing this. I feel like I'm unraveling one thread at a time, and soon there won't be anything left. And if you're watching this and your phone buzzes late at night, don't ignore it, but don't answer it either. You never know who or what might be on the other side. And this was one of our followers' stories. If you want your story to be told by us as well, leave it in the comments below this video. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, we prepared the next video especially for you. Click here to watch it.